Texas that I think might be beneficial to me and the audience at a later stream. And so if you're willing, I'd like to ask you some very general questions about it.
Sure. Sure.
One thing that has been alleged, slanderously so alleged, is that this pleading represents all of the information that you have. It's not well researched. It's not thorough. And I think, if I had to guess, that maybe stems from the absolute stupidity of the person who said it.
That could very well be the explanation.
Now, this person has been a reputable, reliable source so far, and they have had all sorts of insider information, including knowing for a fact that you would not file a lawsuit today. So they've been spot on.
Yeah, obviously, they. Why would we question their judgment? Yeah, I saw something about there was some devastating error that we supposedly made. Something about that. I was too busy actually having steak tonight, celebrating the launching of the petition.
Well, you just watch it, because you'll have to watch later. I'm going to go through this petition with a fine-tooth comb, and we're going to talk about every single mistake. And I know which one you're referring to, and I'm going to rail you on that thing, because that is, how dare you? Such a rookie mistake.
I've always found you to be tough but fair, Nick.
Except on
I will take my beating like a man. Yeah.
Except on apostrophe use. I'm not fair on apostrophe use at all. So those better be in order. I didn't notice too many on my initial glance through, but I did see a glaring error right away, and we're going to address it over and over and over again, just so that it's very clear.
Spare the rod, spoil the child, I always say.
Yeah, just so it's very clear exactly how wrong you are.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that's different about this petition, so it is a sparse petition, right? People who have watched my show have seen pleadings from New York. They've seen.
I'm sorry, our internet is acting. Nick, give me just a second.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but we'll.
Yeah. Let me.
Ooh, that's like an Alex Jones angle. That's good.
Yeah, give me one second here. I'm switching over. Is that better? Maybe. Can I hear you?
I'll tell you in just a minute as we talk.
Actually, I can already tell a difference. Okay, I think we're better.
Yeah, you sound much
Sorry
manlier.
about that.
No, that's okay.
Well, very good. Wouldn't want to sound, not that way.
Right.
I'm sorry. So what were you saying?
Okay, so the petition is a little sparse. Some of the people who watch my show have seen filings from other states. But Texas is a little bit different. It's not different than all other states, but it's different than some of the other ones. So do you want to explain the sparseness of the filing, or why a petition, more generally, why a petition in a Texas lawsuit might not be overly robust?
Right. Or overly detailed, I suppose, is the right way. Well, Texas is a notice pleading state, and what that means is the pleadings merely have to put the other party on notice as to what they're being accused of. And there are different schools of thought about whether or not you put a ton of stuff in your pleadings or do you hold it back. And due to the fact that Texas has an anti-SLAPP statute, which purportedly allows people to get rid of frivolous lawsuits, there's another round coming up. And so we make tactical decisions about what we put in our pleadings based on the anticipation that they'll file the anti-SLAPP statute. That's part of it. The other thing that confuses a lot of people is that in Texas, you don't plead. You're not required to say, we believe thus and such is true. In the federal pleading standards, for example, you have to say, upon notice and belief, blah, 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 blah. In Texas, you just say it. If you think it's true, you say it. If you think it might be true, you say it. You're not lying in the pleading, and you're not misstating anything. That's just the style that we do it. Just like when you file an answer and you file a denial, you say we deny generally everything alleged in there. Well, among the allegations are things like where you live and what your name is.
Right.
Well, obviously, you're not committing perjury by filing a general denial. You're not. It's a stylistic thing. Texas tends to be, in general, a fairly low maintenance legal system. They want everything to be as simple and as straightforward as possible, as a general rule.
Right, and it is very user friendly when you start getting into the technical aspects of how lawsuits work. Because how this is going to work is you guys file this petition. They have then they'll have to be served. That's a separate matter. And from the time of service, if I'm not mistaken, on my Texas civil procedure, they'll have 21 days to respond to that service with an answer document. Is that correct?
It's a little bit slightly different. It's the Monday following the expiration of 20 days after the day they were served.
Why is Texas like this?
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Okay.
My suspicion is, honestly, remember, we were a frontier state until very relatively late in our history. Probably that had something to do with judges riding circuits, literally riding circuits around to, county to county to county. I don't know.
Right.
It would seem to me to be easier just to make it so many days. But
similar to, Texas their legislature only meets every other year, or at least used to.
Yes.
Right? And
no.
They
only every other year, and we don't let them meet for very long. And you know what? We don't even make our capital particularly lavish or comfortable.
Yeah, Austin's a trash heap.
Well,
just kidding.
The Capitol is functional, but Senator Hughes, for example, has a much nicer office at Beard and Harris than he has in the state Capitol.
Yeah,
we just really don't. We don't want our legislators to get too comfortable, too wealthy, or anything else.
He should move up to Minnesota. We just built a real nice legislative office building. He could work for Ricada Law. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Yeah. So it's notice pleading. They'll have 20, the Monday following 20 days, following the expiration of 20 days after service, they'll have to answer. But then what'll happen most likely is that they may answer, or they may simply answer with a motion to dismiss for a failure to state a claim, or an anti-SLAPP motion. In Texas, can they file those prior to the answer, or do they have to file them?
No, they have to. They have to answer. They have to answer. But they would. If I were them, I would go ahead and. If I were them, I would already have the anti-SLAPP motion prepared, because they've known for 2 months what we're going to do.
Now you're operating under the assumption that they have actually retained attorneys and paid them to keep working on this. I'm operating under the assumption that they have not, because that
could be a critical flaw in my reasoning.
It could be a critical flaw in their reasoning too, but I guess we'll see. But yes, they should already have an anti-SLAPP prepared. We've talked about it. We've talked about what the likely strategy is. It's the most obvious initial defense to the charges that have come out. It's almost like over a month ago, I laid out pretty much exactly what charges there are, because they're the most obvious charges from the publicly available information.
By gosh, I think you might have, now that you're mentioning it. I do believe, in fact, you did.
So they should have known. Only if they didn't believe me would they not know that it was likely to see a defamation claim, a tortious interference with business relations, you giant shoe-eating idiot, and a civil conspiracy claim. Those would be the charges. And since two of those are based on speech, a Texas Civil Participation Act motion would likely follow. Now, the reason I'm roundabout getting to this is deep in the legalese, is that when a judge takes that Texas Civil Participation Act motion, he has to then take your pleading and read it. And he has to give, if I'm not mistaken, all deference to the factual assertions in your pleading and treat them as if they are true.
Yes, and we get a response.
Right.
So you know, so a lot of the detail that I guess other people might want to be seeing, well, of course, that some of that will be in our response if necessary. You know, the thing about the anti-SLAPP statute is, I would expect corporate counsel to do that just as a matter of course, but of course, private counsel, you got to pay a lawyer to do that.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
if I were an attorney in, you know, if I were an attorney in this set of facts, I'd be saying to my client, look, you can pay of my time to do this anti-SLAPP statute, but when I'm looking at this binder of 400 plus defamatory tweets, I'm probably going to be saying, you know, they're probably going to win this round. And oh, by the way, client, if they want, they'll have a hearing and they'll have the right to your testimony under oath on the stand. I would be, you know, I don't know if I were representing the other side in this, I don't know how attractive I would find that solution, but we'll see.
Yeah, it all changes when you're paying bills. Suddenly the Twitter bravado starts to go away when you're looking at what you were saying is if you file that SLAPP motion, one, they have to draft it, which means they have to read through it. They have to read through any Texas Defamation Mitigation Act letters they may have received that might have been almost a full ream of paper. They'll have to spend, I mean, I don't know how long it takes you to even page through 400 pages, but I can't imagine. Yeah, what's up?
Nick, can I relocate my machine because we're having really crummy internet connectivity for some reason? I want to get close to my router. So give me just a couple of minutes and I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Just are you going to hang up and hit the link again?
I think that probably would be best.
Yep, that'll work.
All right, so
we'll talk to you.
I'll be right back.
Yep, we'll talk to you in just a second.
Thanks, man.